He told me that he cared deeply about public safety. I said I cared
But did
deeply
he
about
say he
the same.
wouldn't send troops?
What I told him is that what separates New York City from anywhere else in the country is we have the NYPD. And I trust the NYPD to deliver.
The same NYPD that he was blabbing about this whole time that he was going to defund. This has to be the most two-faced... This has to be the most two-faced candidate I've ever seen in my life. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Yo, what's going on, everybody? That is the channel where you find the truth, seek understanding, and be the light. It's your boy, Big Blue. And let's just go ahead and let's get right into it, y'all. I haven't talked too much about the recent elections, the mayor, electoral colleges, or whatever the heck that's been going on recently, because, I've had other stuff that I've been trying to work on. And, I'm just taking glances of what it is that's going on. Now, Zoran Mondani was an interesting individual. Why? Because he's a Democrat that was running for mayor in New York City, and he won. All right, you already know the deal. I get my information straight from ground.news, and we're going straight to the bias comparisons. Trump meet with Zoran Mondani on Friday. Left-leaning outlets framed the meeting as a potential detente or showdown, emphasizing Trump's communist label as controversial rhetoric and later highlighting his charmed post-meeting demeanor. Conversely, right-leaning coverage consistently uses communists to discredit Mondani, framing his ideology as a negative for the city, citing Wall Street concerns and employing terms like Marxism meets MAGA to portray the ideology battle where Mamdani is about getting schooled. Center-leaning reports maintain a neutral tone, focusing on the factual announcement while acknowledging the clash of political opposites and the curious of combustible affair. Guys, I stand in the middle. I just want the best for all of these nations, for all of these cities, and that the best person that will actually take care of these cities has been elected. Based off of everything that Mamdani was saying, I was skeptical, just like a whole bunch of other people were skeptical. But, things seem to go good in this meeting. And you guys know, anytime when I'm getting information from anything, I like to get it straight from the source. I like to hear it from the horse's mouth. The same way that I did with Trump when he was running this time and when he was running in 2016 is the same thing that I did with Zoran Mondani. Every time when he was up on the stage, I listened, and everything that he said was consistent. And what was the things I kept on hearing? Defund the police, free rent and deferment programs for renters, more government-owned food facilities, grocery stores. Taxing the rich, just like the Democrats always do. We're going to continue to tax the rich. And free public transportation, amongst other things. These were his big talking point. Oh, and getting at Trump. That was also a big thing that he was putting a lot of emphasis on getting back and fighting Trump. Yet, here we are, and apparently, I think it was Friday, he went to the Oval Office and he had apparently a great conversation with Trump on the next steps for New York, which is so crazy and so interesting. This is the weird stuff that I've been seeing, that people have been talking about when it comes to, the left and the right. People can say the right has their issues, this, that, and the third, and how they're going to ruin the country, this, that, and say all this crazy stuff, but they're not two-faced like the left. I would rather you tell me that you're going to do something and fail than tell me you're going to do something and then end up doing the opposite. Because this is where he based his platform off of. Those 6 things that I was talking, that was what he based his platform off of. And literally in this interview, he's singing a completely different tune, which is crazy. He's already in the office. So now he's just, calmed down. He's there. So he ain't got to do nothing else. That sounds pretty crazy to me, but let's go ahead and check out this interview. I like this interviewer. I don't know what her name is. Let me see what her name is. Okay, I don't know what her name is, but she does interviews every now and then. She's the interviewer for NBC News, which is great. Meet the Press. Let's see the new tune that he's singing right now. I'm not gonna sit here and do a whole montage of all the craziness that he's done. You can go search it up. Just do Zoran Mondani rallies and interviews. He's going to be consistent about what he's saying. But this is a completely different tune. Let's go ahead.
A bitter back and forth. Were you surprised by the warm welcome that you got?
You know, I was looking forward to having the meeting with the president to speak about the needs of the 8.5 million people who call.
I was looking forward. That's crazy. For somebody that you spew to be the enemy, that you would attack back and that you're going to fight back Trump. It's crazy to say that you were looking forward to speak to him. But it's politics, right?
The same city.
There's a thing that people aren't getting. We have to look at things objectively, because when you let your emotions get too high, you start taking people as what they're saying as word, and they're just trying to get their foot in the door. And you let them with everything that they're saying. So everything that he claimed that he was going to fight for may not actually be the case, which honestly may be a very good thing for New York. So this actually may work out, because what he was saying is crazy.
We love home. And to speak frankly about the affordability crisis that is pushing so many of them out of those 5 boroughs. And I found in the meeting that I had with the president a productive one, and a meeting that came back again and again to the central themes of the campaign that we ran: the cost of housing, cost of childcare, the cost of groceries, the cost of utilities. And it showed that this is an opportunity to now start to deliver, so that people can do more than just aspire to struggle in New York City, but actually to be able to live there.
But did you expect it to be so chummy? What was going through your head when you were standing there?
Now notice, we're going to keep going. I'm going to let it play out. I promise. Okay, let me not say I promise. I'm going to try to. But notice how he dodges answering the question specifically.
You know, I thought again and again about what it would mean for New Yorkers if we could establish a productive relationship that would focus on the issues that those New Yorkers stay up late at night thinking about. Because so often in our politics, we try and tell people what they should be worried about, what they should be concerned about. But when you actually ask New Yorkers and you listen to them, you hear it come back to the issues that animated not just the conversation the president and I had with the press after our meeting, but frankly in the meeting itself. It was a conversation where we spoke about the need to deliver on this agenda. And I appreciated that when
that's a picture right there. My goodness.
The president, when we had that meeting, it wasn't just in the Oval Office. He also took me into the cabinet room, and there we were looking at portraits of presidents of years gone by, and we admired a portrait of FDR. And in many ways, when I think about the candidacy that we've put forward, it looks to Fiorello LaGuardia as the greatest mayor in New York City history. You can't tell the story of LaGuardia without telling the story of FDR and the story of a relationship with the federal government that finally delivered at the scale of the crisis it was facing.
Well,
everything that he's saying right there, I don't even think Trump, maybe Trump knows, but that seems a little above Trump's history level. I don't know.
Prior to your meeting, I don't have to tell you this, President Trump repeatedly threatened to cut off federal funding to New York if you won. The president seemed to back away from that yesterday, though, in his public comments in that joint news conference that you all did. He said, I don't think that's going to happen. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. Do you believe him when he says that?
No, I believe the president in the conversation that we had, and I will continue to make the case, both to the president and to the country at large, about the needs of New Yorkers. Because what I found, frankly, is that New Yorkers have grown tired of being asked to believe in a system that has delivered very little for them. They're tired of a politics that expects everything from them while delivering little. And what they want now is a politics that can see the scale of the crisis in front of it and actually start to work together to deliver on that crisis.
You know, you ran a campaign, though, saying that President Trump had not delivered on his promise of affordability. Did anything that happened in that meeting make you think, yes, he can deliver on that promise for Americans, for New Yorkers?
Well, I spoke to the president about the fact that while our campaign technically began on October 23rd last year, for many people, they became aware of it after the president won his election. And we also spoke about the importance of understanding what it is that hurts New Yorkers in their pockets. It's their rent, it's their childcare, it's their utilities, and it's their childcare. Because the childcare, I say twice, because it is the second highest cost after housing, $22,500 a year for a single child.
Well, let me ask you about the other threat that we heard from President Trump to send troops to New York City to address issues of crime and immigration. We've seen him do this in other major cities. Did you get any assurances in your meeting, Mayor-elect Mamdani, that President Trump will not send troops into New York?
I told the president that the cornerstone of an affordability agenda is public safety, and that it is critically important to me. And for all that has been said and all that has been spoken about, and the tens of millions of dollars looking to make New Yorkers fearful of that question. The truth of it is, in fact, that I'm looking forward to working with the NYPD to deliver on that. And I shared with the president that my decision to retain Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch is in large part a recognition of the fact that in her time leading the NYPD, she has driven down crime across the 5 boroughs while starting to uproot corruption that was endemic in the top echelons of that department under Mayor Adams.
And I'm going to follow up with you on your decision to keep Commissioner Tisch. But to this core question that I think so many New Yorkers are curious to know the answer to, what did President Trump say to you? Did he assure you he will not send troops into New York?
He told me that he cared deeply about public safety. I said I cared deeply about the same.
But did he say he wouldn't send troops?
What I told him is that what separates New York City from anywhere else in the country is we have the NYPD. And I trust the NYPD to deliver.
The same NYPD that he was blabbing about this whole time that he was going to defund. Right. These are words that came out of his mouth. This is what I'm talking about. Yet he's singing a different tune now that he got elected, which is kind of crazy.
Public safety. And to me, that is something that I know that they can do, that they have done, and they will continue to do under my leadership.
So he didn't rule it out in your meeting?
I made it very clear what we wanted to do was to deliver public safety and affordability, and the NYPD would be the ones to do.
And if it doesn't happen and crime is starting to get rampart and things and people are starting to get killing and starting to get all crazy as it's been happening, and he sends them out, I don't want to hear no pushback. That's what I'm hearing. Or else you're gonna be another Brandon Johnson with Chicago. That's what I'm hearing.
So
in that press conference with President Trump, a reporter asked you whether you believe that President Trump is in fact a fascist, a word that you've used in the past. You were about to answer, then President Trump sort of jumped in and he said, quote, "That's okay, you can just say yes. It's easier than explaining it." So, Mr. Mayor-elect, just to be very clear, do you think that President Trump is a fascist?
And after President Trump said that, I said yes. And
so you do?
And that's something that I've said in the past. I say it today. And I think what I appreciated about the conversation that I had with the president was that we were not shy about the places of disagreement, about the politics that has brought us to this moment. And we also wanted to focus on what it could look like to deliver on a shared analysis of an affordability crisis for New Yorkers.
You've also said in the past that President Trump has engaged in a, quote, attack on our democracy. You've called him a despot. Do you still believe President Trump is a threat to the democracy?
Everything that I've said in the past, I continue to believe. And that's the thing that I think is important in our politics, is that we don't shy away from where we have disagreements, but we understand what it is that brings us to that table. Because I'm not coming into the Oval Office to make a point or make a stand. I'm coming in there to deliver for New Yorkers. And
I think that some of your supporters would be curious to know, you say you stand by your past statements that, yes, he's a threat to the democracy. How do you square working with someone who you still think is a threat to the democracy?
I think working for the people of New York City demands that you work with everyone and anyone, and that you always look to find those areas of agreement while not overlooking the places of disagreement. And I think this was something that came up in our meeting. We spoke about immigration. We spoke about the fact that in New York City, we have sanctuary city policies that allow for the city to work with the federal government on around 170 serious crimes. The concern for so many New Yorkers comes about anything beyond that. And I spoke about the importance of us being able to protect New Yorkers, and some of the incidents that we see, they do not do that.
And that's the weird thing about that. Like if you're in America, this is the thing. If you're in America illegally, you're not a New Yorker. You're not a citizen. You have no identification to be here in this country, so you're not a New Yorker. I don't understand. What am I missing? What am I missing? The fact that there are people that they should be just fine. They should be called New Yorkers. Like, if I come in from New Jersey and then I come to Georgia and I come in with my New Jersey driver's license, I'm not considered as somebody that resides in Georgia. I'm from New Jersey. So why, like, if I gotta vote, I have to go back to New Jersey to vote. What am I missing here? Let's keep going.
You raised the issue of sanctuary cities, so I want to speak to you more broadly about the issue of immigration. This is one that is so critical to New York, the rest of the country as well. One of your top supporters, Senator Bernie Sanders, recently weighed in on President Trump's record managing the border. He compared it to former President Biden. I want you to take a listen to what he had to say. I'll get your reaction on the other side.
Trump did a better job. I don't like Trump, but We should have a secure border, and it ain't that hard to do. Biden didn't do it. Those before him did not do it. We should have a secure border, period.
Wow, Mr. Socialist himself. Mr. Socialist himself. That's crazy.
Do you agree with Senator Bernie Sanders that President Trump has done a better job securing the border than former President Biden?
You know, I haven't thought much about comparing presidents on the question of securing the border. I think it's important that it's secure, and I also think it's important that we have an immigration system that is humane. And that's what I spoke about with the president, is that New Yorkers want to see humanity in the policies that are being implemented.
Okay, I had enough. And it's not even the humanity part. It's what are we missing about the rules? If we don't have rules, if we don't have laws, then how are we a nation? That's something that I'm not understanding when people keep talking about, illegal immigration. If you're here legally, you're here legally. I don't see what am I missing, guys? What am I missing, guys? Please tell me in the comments. What am I missing? But anyways, back to the point of this whole video. So you guys gotta get a glimpse of what it is that I'm talking about. You see how he's calm, he's nature. He seems like a normal person, a normal, mayor that got to talk with the president and talk about, next steps in building the city, the future of the city that he's going to be, be head over, essentially. Yet before he ran, he was doing the same thing that all the other Democrats were doing, bashing on Trump, saying that he's a fascist, which half of the definition of fascist seems a little more on the Democratic side, but I'm just going to leave that alone. Saying, a whole bunch of crazy stuff and how he was totally against Trump, going to fight Trump and all this, that, and the third, just to get votes. And what's very interesting, now that we're at the end of this, I just want to bring out, I think this is all part of the plan. This is all part of the plot. This is all part of the ploy. We understand that New York is a deep blue city. So and maybe it was just Trump just talking. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like everything's been fixated. There's no real left or right. It's just a matter of who's going to be put in place and where and how they're really trying to control the whole thing. But some people say otherwise, and based off of how politics are going, it could have been everything that was happening with Trump, the conversations, the back and forth, and the banters and all that stuff was actually genuine. But Trump was just responding to somebody that was just being aggressive as he normally does, and coming to a realization this is his city, New York, that he does care for. And like he said on a tweet previously after Mondani won, he wants to see New York succeed. So he's willing to work with Mondani. And Mondani, based off of what some people on the left are saying, caved. He caved. Which honestly, and it's true. Everything that he's saying is true. My problem is that you lied to the people on what you were going to bring, on what you were going to do. People that voted for you are 100% on defunding the police. People that are voting for you are 100% on no rent, not having to pay rent and such things. People that voted for you are 100% on free groceries. People that are voting for you are 100% on taxing the rich, even though based off of all the stats that I've been seeing, the rich were already paying about 50% of the taxes. 50%. The rich that are less than 10% of the population are paying 50% of the taxes in New York. These are the things. The people that voted for you hate Trump so much that they were for you and your banter and all of your craziness about talking about Trump and fighting against Trump and all this, that, and the third. Yet here we are. It hasn't even been 2 weeks. Hasn't been 2 weeks. It hasn't even been a month. Let me be on the safe side to say that. It hasn't even been a month. And you've already switched your tone. That to me is crazy. How upset I would be if I was an individual that voted for you for these things, any of these things. And here we are in the interview and you already switched up. That's crazy. Now, am I saying Mondani is a bad person? No, I'm not saying that. I don't know nothing about him. I don't know much about him. I'm just going off of what he said. And clearly what he said was all fluff, to get him in the office. So, I mean, just like with Trump, I hope him the best. I'm still like, there's still something within me that I feel like there's something that's going on the back end because he is Muslim, quote unquote. Could be another Kamala situation where he's Muslim, but he's not really Muslim. But at the end of the day, who knows what could be put into policy now that's coming in? And there's a lot of people that's already left New York. So who's going to be filling in those locations that they left? I mean, I don't know. I think it's more so the rich. I don't think you could really put poor immigrants in rich buildings. But who knows, guys? Who knows? Let me know in the comment section what y'all think about it. I'm gonna catch y'all next one. Take it easy. Peace.